The asteroid was a monstrous titan of rock and ice, hurtling through the vast darkness of space. 4 kilometers in diameter, its jagged surface bore the scars of countless millennia, drifting in the cosmic abyss. Discovered too late, mere weeks before, it had already sealed Earth's fate. Calculations repeatedly confirmed the grim reality. At 30 kilometers per second, the asteroid would reshape the planet forever. Global panic quickly spread, with leaders and scientists racing against time. Governments frantically prepared shelters deep underground, knowing only a fraction of humanity would survive. In the midst of chaos were Frank and Mia, strangers whose paths crossed by fate. Frank, a seasoned paramedic accustomed to emergencies, had lost his family years ago and lived in quiet solitude until the asteroid shattered his world again. Mia, a brilliant engineer working in renewable energy, saw the impending disaster not just as a threat, but as the heartbreaking loss of humanity's potential. Both driven by a raw will to live, they became unlikely companions in humanity's greatest test. As the asteroid continued its ominous approach, telescopes revealed its horrifying detail. Its icy core was entwined with dark veins of rock, and its rugged surface hid deep, ominous caverns, silent harbingers of annihilation. Chicago had devolved into Bedlam. The streets were crowded with frantic citizens fleeing in every direction, traffic jammed for miles, making escape by car impossible. Frank had taken refuge in the subway, only to find it collapsing under the sheer weight of panic above. He met Mia by chance, rescuing her from debris that trapped her in an overturned subway car. Together they emerged to a city in ruins, smoke billowing from burning buildings and gunshots echoing ominously through streets. Rumors had circulated of a small airport on the city's outskirts, one of the few still conducting evacuations to a massive underground facility in Greenland. With highways impassable and violence erupting all around, Frank and Mia decided their only hope lay in navigating through dangerous alleyways and abandoned neighborhoods. They quickly learned to move quietly, staying hidden from desperate mobs fighting over dwindling resources. Days passed as they pushed forward, scavenging for food and avoiding patrols that had turned violent amid panic and desperation. Trust became scarce, but necessity forced Frank and Mia to rely on each other, forging a bond strengthened by survival. Chicago was now a lawless wasteland, controlled by gangs who had seized key intersections, demanding food and supplies in exchange for safe passage. Frank and Mia witnessed heartbreaking scenes. Families turned away, robbed, or worse. Mia's ingenuity proved invaluable. She hot-wired vehicles, created diversions, and navigated sewers beneath the gang-held streets. Frank, resourceful and courageous, defended them when conflict was unavoidable. One night, they found refuge in a deserted diner. It was there they encountered an elderly pilot named Samuel. Samuel had an aircraft hidden nearby but needed help reaching the airport. In return, he promised them passage. With hope renewed, Frank and Mia agreed, knowing the dangers ahead. The dawn revealed an airport engulfed in chaos, military barricades overturned, vehicles abandoned, and panicked civilians clashing violently with overwhelmed soldiers. Frank, Mia, and Samuel moved cautiously, hearts pounding as tension filled the air. A distant explosion triggered hysteria, and gunshots echoed, sparking a desperate surge toward the aircraft. Frank was violently separated from Mia and Samuel amidst the terrifying stampede. Frantically shouting their names, Frank pushed through the crushing crowd, witnessing heartbreaking scenes. Terrified families torn apart, desperate people pleading for passage, and soldiers forced into defensive positions. Exhausted, he finally spotted Mia's bright red jacket, a beacon amidst the madness. He sprinted toward her, dodging fists, elbows, and panic-stricken bodies. Reuniting at the aircraft, Samuel prepared for takeoff. As they climbed aboard, soldiers abandoned their posts, and refugees desperately clung to the plane's exterior. With heavy hearts, Frank and Mia watched in horror as they took flight, leaving the chaos of Chicago below. Throughout the flight, the magnitude of their escape weighed heavily upon them. The image of a city consumed by panic and flames haunting their minds, reinforcing their resolve to survive. Flying over the Atlantic was tense, passengers murmuring anxiously, each face pale with dread. Frank and Mia sat silently, their hands interlocked, watching the horizon with growing apprehension. Suddenly, a blinding explosion illuminated the sky. A smaller asteroid fragment impacted the ocean, sending violent shockwaves rippling outward. The aircraft jolted fiercely, causing panic on board. Passengers screamed as oxygen masks deployed, their terror amplified by alarms blaring from the cockpit. Samuel fought valiantly with the controls, determination etched across his face. Frank and Mia clung tightly to each other, whispering reassurances despite their fear. As the turbulence subsided, Samuel skillfully regained control, setting the plane back on course. Passengers sobbed in relief, grateful for his steadfastness. Below, boiling waves of ocean water and rising clouds of steam provided grim reminders of the catastrophic power of even a minor fragment. The remainder of the flight was somber, filled with silent prayers and unspoken fears about what awaited them in Greenland. Yet, amidst the silence, a newfound sense of unity and resilience developed among the survivors. The shelter beneath Greenland's icy landscape was an impressive labyrinth of fortified tunnels, carefully planned chambers, and extensive storage facilities designed for prolonged isolation. Frank, Mia, and Samuel were swiftly ushered through winding corridors filled with survivors preparing themselves emotionally and physically for the inevitable. Mia quickly volunteered her engineering skills, diagnosing and repairing critical infrastructure, ensuring that air filtration, power generation, and sanitation remained operational. Her tireless efforts garnered admiration, bringing hope to those around her. Frank, drawing on his medical training, provided physical and emotional support, healing wounds and soothing troubled souls. Samuel contributed through logistical planning, orchestrating meticulous rationing strategies to stretch their limited supplies as far as possible. Despite these efforts, uncertainty gnawed at the survivors' spirits. They forged relationships born of shared hardship, leaning on each other to maintain morale, all while knowing that the world above them faced imminent annihilation. The asteroid collided with Earth in an explosion of apocalyptic proportions, instantly erasing entire continents. Shockwaves flattened cities, firestorms ravaged forests, and towering tsunamis obliterated coastlines. Global communications ceased, plunging humanity into immediate silence and darkness. Deep beneath Greenland's ice, survivors endured hours of terrifying tremors and violent shocks. Power outages sent chilling panic through the shelter, yet Frank and Mia remained steadfast, calming terrified children and comforting distressed adults. Emergency systems activated, restoring essential power and communications. Slowly, the chaos subsided into a grim quietness. Monitors displayed devastating data, temperatures plummeting, skies filled with dust blocking the sun, and Earth's surface unrecognizable. The survivors faced the stark truth. Humanity's fate rested entirely within their underground sanctuary. The following 3 years underground were marked by profound struggle. Survivors endured dwindling resources, severe emotional strain, and a profound sense of loss. Frank and Mia, emerging as trusted leaders, tirelessly sustained morale, organizing community activities, creating structured routines, and fostering a sense of purpose. Mia's engineering expertise proved invaluable, solving complex technical failures that threatened their survival. Frank provided continuous medical care, addressing mental health as passionately as physical health, understanding that psychological resilience was paramount to their continued existence. Samuel, aging but determined, mentored younger generations, imparting wisdom and invaluable survival skills. Disagreements and disputes inevitably arose, testing the community's unity. Frank and Mia acted as mediators, skillfully resolving conflicts and ensuring collective cooperation. Hope flourished within the dark confines, strengthened by small successes and the unwavering belief in an eventual return to the surface. As sensors began detecting improving surface conditions, excitement and trepidation spread through the shelter. Preparations commenced, readying survivors for the momentous day they could reclaim their world. After 3 grueling years, the shelter's enormous steel doors finally creaked open. Frank, Mia, Samuel, and their resilient community emerged cautiously, stepping onto a surface unrecognizable from their memories. The landscape was barren and desolate, littered with the skeletal remains of civilization, stark reminders of humanity's near extinction. Despite the overwhelming devastation, survivors were buoyed by small signs of nature's renewal, tiny shoots of green life emerging defiantly from the ashes. Frank, Mia, and Samuel swiftly organized teams to evaluate resources, establish sustainable food and water systems, and construct essential shelters. Exploration missions surveyed nearby ruins, salvaging remnants of humanity's past achievements and ensuring critical technology could be preserved or adapted for future use. As they rebuilt, survivors found purpose in their shared struggle, steadily overcoming challenges through collective effort and ingenuity. Frank and Mia, their leadership strengthened by adversity, guided the community towards a balanced, sustainable society. Samuel, now elderly, observed with pride, knowing his contributions helped secure humanity's survival. Slowly, civilization began anew, wiser and more resilient, deeply aware of the lessons learned through hardship. As their community thrived beneath the ashen sky, Frank and Mia stood together, inspired by their collective accomplishments and hopeful for the future. Determined and united, they embraced their roles as architects of humanity's second chance, ready to guide the world towards a brighter dawn.